Welcome back to Vida Vibes podcast. I'm your host, Lisbet, and we are in my fancy, schmancy bedroom studio. But these are actually kind of cozy vibes. So originally I was planning on my filming setup being in the living room, but then I realized I live with a chaotic Cuban family, and the realities of being able to film there are very close to none. So my bedroom it is. And yesterday when I was filming my first episode, I what I did was I set up my studio, and this background was perfect. It was great. It was exactly what I wanted. It was exactly what I needed. And I was like, wait, I actually really like this vibe. This is very Lisbeth vibes. But as I was saying, I was recording my first episode yesterday, and it didn't turn out as great as I was hoping. um, it was my introduction to Vida Vibes podcast. I think it was a great introduction to what to expect, but I also think I was trying to be way too scripted. And let's be honest, I don't need a script to yap away. And I was trying to mold things to this like perfectly curated podcast thingy, and I just didn't feel like myself. It wasn't hitting it wasn't giving me what I needed to give. I was in my head way too much. And this episode is going to be inspired by my British people, because my British peeps inspired me today to just be myself, my authentic self. And it was funny because in that episode introduction, I was talking about how I've embraced being more of myself and my authentic identity and all this stuff. And I really have, but doing something new for the first time is really scary. And I was really scared. I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, this is legit. I'm really recording. This is really going to be put up in the internet. What am I doing? Are people even going to like me? Are people going to want to listen to this? Is this even going to be good? Oh, this looks horrible. People are going to make fun of my setup. But you know what? It is what it is. This is my setup. I really like my setup. I really enjoy what I've done with my room. So I guess we'll go into a little bit of that. So to get to know me a little bit better, you have to understand. So for 2 years, I lived in Michigan, and I've moved back to Florida. This is my childhood bedroom because I didn't grow up in this home. We moved into this house when I was 14, about to be 15. But it's the home that oh my God, have I lived here longer? No. So haven't lived here the longest because we moved from Cuba to the States. So this has not been the place where have I lived here most of my life? I think I have. Yeah, I would say this is when I think of childhood, where a lot of my, adolescencia, I don't know how to say that word in English. I grew up, it was in this house where I matured a lot, where I evolved, where I learned a lot about myself was in this home. And this room saw a lot of versions of me. And when I moved back, it was a bedroom set that my mom had when she changed hers. And it was the one in this room, and it was not me. It was black, and it was just not my aesthetics. It didn't make me happy. It was in my room. So when I was moving all of my stuff from Michigan to Florida, which is now in storage, this bed frame and these nightstands and I have obviously my entire apartment in storage. My mom goes, why don't you get the bed frame and put it in your bedroom in Miami, and your nightstands, because they're gonna go bad and they're not gonna be used. Why don't you use them here? And I loved her idea because this is very much my aesthetics. This bed frame is from Living Spaces. I 10 out of 10 recommend. I actually just got it from my neighbors, and it's how much was it? It was like $300, something like that. It was 400 or 400 something dollars, super inexpensive, and it's gone through 3 moves at this point, and it looks like new. It's held up so well. These nightstands are from Wayfair, and I can link it for you guys if you guys want in the YouTube video. So I'll do that. I'll try and find the stuff and I'll link it if you're interested. But this is very much Lisbeth vibes in this room. I'm very bright colored. I'm saying like a coastal grandma type of vibe. So I've really made this room my own. So it's very fitting that I would film this podcast in my room, and it's like my studio, because I have now turned it into Lisbeth vibes for my room. So it's very authentic to who I am. And I'm really proud of the growth, because, my old room setup was it wasn't me, but it also saw me through, so again, many different versions of me. And this is me embracing my authentic self and all of my sides. And there's a couple things I still want to do to the room, but overall, I would say this is very much Lisbet vibes. And I was mentioning earlier in the podcast or of this episode that the first episode did not feel like me because I was trying to be too much like other people, or I was just really in my head about making sure that everything was said perfectly and all of my blah, 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 right? And if you hear people, that's my mom. I don't know if you heard her, but hey, this is part of authenticity for this podcast. What can you expect? Loud Cuban family talking. It's not going to be super high profesh, but it's going to be very authentic, very real, very down to earth. And I love that. That's the whole point of what I wanted this podcast to be. It wasn't superly over curated. It was authentic. It was real. It was genuine. It was very much me. And that kind of reflected and showed through. But for that to reflect and show through, I'm going to have to actually do that and be that person. So I was scrolling the YouTube today because it's my new favorite platform. Like I've rediscovered YouTube and I've fallen in love with YouTube, and now I'm so happy to be here. And I saw this video by Minx. Oh my God, what's his name on YouTube? He's British. He's friends with JJ, who's friends with the Sidemen, who I'm going to talk about today. But I was seeing his video. Why am I forgetting his name right now? I'm going to find his video and put it below. But he did like a sit down with famous YouTubers. Mainly, I want to say I'm pretty sure they were all British because he's British. And one of the girls there, her name was Grace, and she goes by JK Berry. I'm looking at my notes on my phone. I'm going to have her Instagram handle below. And I loved this girl. I was like, I need to find her on Instagram because I need to be like, she just gave me like very authentic vibes. So she said that she had a podcast. I was like, I want to listen to her podcast to see what she talks about, see how she is. And she's so authentic in her podcast. And I saw her in other podcasts with another group that I want to talk about. It's called Shits and Giggles, SHXTSN Gigs. Oh, Gigs. Sorry. Giggles. Yeah. But, these dudes I found on TikTok, actually, they are freaking hilarious. And this whole episode is about my British people and how much I love British people and how much I love the UK and how much I love the people there and the food and like all British stuff. So because of the inspiration that Grace, JK Berry, gave me, thank you. This episode is not dedicated to the British culture. So I want to say, obviously, I feel like my first introduction to London or to like the UK vibes was probably Adele that I remember. I remember her accent was very thick, and my bilingual self and my sister had a hard time understanding her, so we had to read like her videos with captions most of the time. But I love Adele. We're the biggest Adele fans. She can do no wrong. She is the perfect human being to, be a celebrity, and I just like love Adele so much. And my sister and I actually had the privilege of seeing her live, and that was like a whole fiasco. My sister, so she dropped her latest album, 30. Everyone was like, oh my God, Adele's back. Like the divorce, babe, divorce, the vibes, right? It was just, holy crap, it's Adele. And obviously she dropped the album, disappeared like Adele does. And then she said, hey, I'm going to have a tour, or I'm going to have a show in London, in Hyde Park, which is this like huge, huge park in London, which I had no idea was that. It's a huge, like I think it's bigger than Central Park. Like it's huge, okay? They put up a whole freaking festival there. So my sister's like, she's going to be at Hyde Park, or like in London. And I was like, yeah, right. We're never going to get tickets for that. Like, that's insane. You know how many people are going to try and get tickets for this show? Millions. Yeah, that's true. Millions of people to try and get tickets for the show. But my sister managed to get tickets. And she got 2 tickets. And I think it was like $600 or $700. So to see Adele? Are you kidding me? Just to see Adele in Vegas is $800 per person. So for both, and we fly for free because my sister works for an airline. When you work for an airline, you fly for free. So we just have to pay for hotels. And my sister's like super savvy with credit cards. I really want her to talk like a whole episode dedicated to that. She's so smart about credit card points. So we stayed in London in the hotel for free. Super nice hotel right in front of Hyde Park. We got the tickets for $600-$700. I can't remember the exact price because she got them. And we didn't have to pay for our, airplane ticket because it was free. So We saw Adele live, and she's an amazing performer. If you ever get the chance or opportunity or the privilege of seeing Adele live, please see her. She's hilarious. It's like singing and comedy in the same show. Like you get a little bit of comedy special, and you also get her amazing voice, and she's so talented. And oh my god, she sounds exactly like she does on record, or even better in person, which is very rare for people to be able to say. So again, humans in the back, apologies. By the way, I call my parents the humans. So that was my first introduction to the British culture. It was Adele, and she's lovely, and I love Adele. And then I was introduced to JJ. And if you don't know JJ, he's actually pretty popular, like really popular in the UK. And I think you'll know him because he has the drink Prime, you know, that drink that you see everywhere. He has that drink with Logan Paul, and him and Logan created that drink together. They had like this huge beef where they didn't like each other. Then they got into a boxing match, and then they like made up, and now they're like cool with each other. I don't think they're like BFFs, but they're business partners. Blah 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 blah. I was introduced to JJ way back in the day. I think JJ had 800,000. Or like he was big, right? But he wasn't this big. So JJ was hilarious. I loved his videos. I remember him and his brother. I would see their videos religiously, and I would show my sister because they were just so funny. Their parents were hilarious. I could relate to him not being from the UK and having immigrant parents, like all this stuff. It was just JJ's the funniest person. Please go see his old videos too, because they're just so unhinged. And then I was introduced to the Sidemen. And the Sidemen is a group that JJ is a part of, and he basically got a bunch of his friends and said, "Hey guys, why don't we just all create this group called the Sidemen and have a blast and just be friends together and make money?" So obviously they weren't that big when they started the Sidemen, but now they're extremely huge. Like Vic Starr is one of the other people in the Sidemen, and he's DJing now. And I'm like, Vic, what are you doing here? What are you doing here, Ariana? But I love that for Vic. So I also love that a lot of them have shifted path and changed careers and done so many cool things with, like, JJ went to boxing, JJ became a singer, like rapper. JJ was like so many different multi-passionate individuals, and I've like loved being able to follow their trajectory because it's been super inspiring. But that was my second introduction to the British Peeps, and I fell in love. Like there's people that go, you don't understand the British humor, like it's very specific, like it's kind of dry, and you either like the British humor or you don't. You know, I'm sorry, like I can't say anything else. You're either gonna like it or you're not gonna like it, and that's everyone's preference. Is like people like Kevin Hart, people hate Kevin Hart, right? It's the same with my British peeps. Leave my British peeps alone. If you don't like them, leave them alone. I personally love British humor. I think they're hilarious people. And whenever I'm down, I can always go to my British peeps to make me feel so happy. So Amelia is another creator. She's more in the beauty, luxury space type of world. Obviously, we remember, God, I can't remember her name, but she became huge. She was like a beauty influencer. And then she got married to this other guy who was also pretty famous. And I don't know much about them anymore now, but I was heavily invested in my British community for many, many, many years. Like I'm a long time British lover. I love you, London. I love the UK. Like obviously it's more than London, but I have visited London. So we're gonna talk about that because I just loved it, my experience. Next up for British peeps that I'm loving. So obviously JK Berry. I just discovered her. She's hilarious. You guys need to follow JK Berry. She's so funny. Wait, there was another one, and she was also hilarious. Like I was laughing my butt off earlier today on Instagram when I saw her, because okay, we have to, before we go into another one. So JK Berry, Shits and Gigs. So these two guys are hilarious. They're so funny. If you, I feel like dudes and the girls and the gays and the days and the all, like I think you guys are gonna love them because they're just authentic. And I want to say that that's the podcast that we all say when, you know, when you're talking to your friend, you're like, dude, we should start a podcast. I'm like, yeah, right. Like this would be so funny. They did that podcast. They created that podcast version of like, dude, we should do a podcast because we're like really funny. They're really funny, and they did it, and they talk about everything and everything relationships. I think they read Reddit stories. I think they read, like, people leave comments about, I went on a date with this girl and blah blah, this happened and that happened, and then they bring a lot of guests. That's how I found JK Berry. Oh no, sorry, JK Berry was from another creator, but she was also on their show, and then I discovered, like, I just kept going down the rabbit hole of them. But who is this other creator that I was just laughing my butt off to what she was saying? Why isn't she here? I can't find her now. I have to find her. Okay. Nella Rose. Nella Rose, you're hilarious. I love you. I'm obsessed with you. You're so funny too. She is hilarious. Okay, next up is your boy Mojo, Moyo. Found him on TikTok. I love his videos. Whenever his videos come up, I see them. He is just so authentic, so himself, and I have loved just seeing his content. It makes me happy. I have made the switch of following people that make me not feel great about myself. You know what I'm talking about. You know, the type of people that just don't make you feel good about yourself. Like, no, I'm not following those people anymore. I'm following people that either make me laugh, that inspire me, that entertain me, that give me advice, that I just like, that when I see them come up in my socials, I get excited to continuing to watch their content. So these are those people. If I remember more, I'm gonna leave more below, but obviously all of the sidemen. So Vicstar, Minkster, Harry, I forgot Harry's name right now for a second. Sidemen are amazing. I love the sidemen. They're just phenomenal peeps. I really do think so. And I love that they've created this huge business from it and are thriving and are doing so well and are so successful in that industry. And sorry if you heard that. That was my throat. I'm keeping that in. This is authentic, you guys. But okay, British peeps, love these creators. Now let's go and let's chat a little bit about London and the first time I went to London. Oh, wait. We can't talk about London and not talk about One Direction. I know. I love One Direction, you guys. I have to chat about One Direction because they are such a vital, important part of my life. Harry, Niall, Zayn. Oh my God, hold on. I'm blanking out. Louis. Hold on. Oh my God. Liam. Thank you. I was like, it's been a minute since I've said all their names together. Okay, they've been gone for a while. I love One Direction. Okay. Oh, I also grew up with the X Factor. Who else grew up with the X Factor? And then later found out Simon Cowell was not that great, but Simon Cowell did bring some amazing people together. So, you know, if it wasn't for Simon, would we have like One Direction and all the peeps that came after them? But I understand that's controversial topics. We're not going to talk about that person, but One Direction, right? What a time to be alive. I loved One Direction. My obsession for my British peeps just went skyrocketing with One Direction. Okay. I said, I have to go to London and I have to do a double deck red bus and I have to experience British culture and I have to go to Nando's because I found out that was Niall's favorite place was Nando's. If they ever see this, they're gonna be like, wow, okay. It was just little tidbits, but also JJ and the Simon always talked about Nando's. And I was like, I have to experience this restaurant that people are talking about. And also I found out that Niall, I don't know if he still has this, okay, but way back in the day, he had like this black card that you only get access to if you're like a celebrity and are like invited or whatnot to Nando's. And it was phenomenal. I was like, I want a black card for Nando's, even though I'm not from London and there's absolutely no Nando's here in the States. So I was obsessed with my One Direction era. And that just pushed me further into my love for my British peeps. Okay. Now I'm like really immersed in this culture. It was until many years later that I was able to actually visit London for the first time and experience what that whole world was like. And I went to Nando's. Yes, I did. Yes, she did. I went to Nando's and it was an amazing experience. It was actually really good food. I really recommend you guys, if you get the opportunity to ever go to London or go to the UK, to go to Nando's and experience what that is like. Again, more people talking outside. Sorry if you hear them. Because it's actually really good, you guys. It's really tasty food. I would compare it here in the States to maybe like a Panda Express / Chipotle, but not even that. Like it's good food. It hits the spot. It does what it's got to do. So Went to London for the first time. When was that? That was 2022, I want to say. I am in love. I am obsessed. My sister and I have gone back now since going the first time, and it's one of my favorite cities. There's so much culture, there's so much diversity, their food is amazing. There's so many different little pockets and neighborhoods and history in London alone. When we went the second time to London, we also went to Baths, which some of you might know if you're a Bridgerton fan, is where they filmed Bridgerton, the show Bridgerton. It, you guys, it looks exactly like it does on TV. It is actually kind of crazy, but I was like, oh my God, I remember this from the show. I remember this from the show. It's also, oh my God, Jane Austen. She's also really famous there because she wrote a lot of her books in Baths in London, or not in London, in the UK. It's Baths, it's like outskirts of London. I want to say like an hour, 2 hour train. I can't remember specifically, but if you go to London, you need to go to Baths because it's a really, 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 really small town, but it has so much history. And there's a really good restaurant that my sister and I went to there because we were starving. But also, if you can avoid going in peak winter time, I would suggest to not do that because it's very gloomy and cold. And I wasn't able, oh, Pride and Prejudice was also filmed in Baths. And I really wanted to go to the location where he goes, where he like proposes or does this whole spiel in Pride and Prejudice in the movie. But I wasn't able to because it was so cold. And my sister was like, weren't you, like, we did the hop on and off bus tour thingy because it's tiny, but it's very big. Baths, like I was when I was planning, I was like, oh, we can walk to all these stuff, and maybe in nice weather you can walk, but in cold weather you cannot walk to all these places. So, anyways, I really wanted to go to the Pride and Prejudice location, but I wasn't like we drove around it, but we didn't stop because it was too gloomy, it was too cold to do that. But I did love it otherwise. It's so beautiful. So 10/10 to recommend, and also the Roman baths are in Baths, ironically, right? So I am now even more obsessed with my British peeps than I was before. I love your accent. I know the British peeps. Obviously, you can't hear your accent because, you're from there. It's kind of like when people tell me you have a Miami accent or you have a Cuban accent. I can't hear that because it's just, sometimes I do hear it. But I just love the accent makes everything 10 times better. It really does. It makes things funnier, makes things sexier, makes things just more attractive. Like you can say anything and it just, wow. Oh my God. Type of vibes. So that's how I'm feeling about that. And then the food is amazing. The food is just phenomenal. It's just, you can find pretty much any type of cuisine that you want available to you. Asian, Korean, Japanese, Brazilian, Spanish, like whatever you want. They have a freaking restaurant, and it's a Michelin star restaurant available to you in every street of the corner. It's crazy. It really is. I also love the tube. The first time my sister and I went to London, we were scared because we didn't know how the tube and all that situation kind of worked. I am in love. If you go to London, you need to use the tubes, which is the subway. It is game changer to your trips because London is freaking massive. Like if you want to go to Notting Hills, which is like the famous, the Notting Hills movies was from there. Yeah, that is way out of the actual like city center of London where, the Big Ben and all that stuff is. It's far, okay? And Ubers and like taxis are just really expensive. Do the tube. It's so much cheaper. I think my sister and I, we bibbity bobbity booped all over London, and we paid, like maybe we spend in tubes like for the days that we were there, £20 or £30 or something. It was nothing compared. Like one trip to Notting Hills would have been £30 for one Uber ride. And that's not even counting the one coming back. You need to do the tube. The tubes are clean, are really easy to navigate. Just make sure that you have, like, sometimes your maps won't load because you're obviously underground. So make sure you know where your stops should be and what train you should get on, because my sister and I did make the mistake of sometimes getting on the wrong train. I think that happened once and we missed our stop another time. So just make sure that you are reading the signs properly, but you should be totally fine. It's the easiest thing. It's so easy to understand. Like once you do a couple trips, you're like, oh, I know exactly where I'm going. And there's a freaking tube stop every corner, what feels like. So very accessible. And now, like the next final session with the UK culture is obviously the royal family. Like I can't make a British inspired episode without talking about the royal family, can I? Obviously, a lot of us have seen The Crown. I love The Crown. It's a great show. I think it's also a great show to understand a bit more of the culture in London and why because a lot of people go, why is the royal family still a thing? And I think a lot of even British people ask themselves this. But if you see The Crown, you kind of understand a little bit more about the history. Like it's a different way to learn about the history. Obviously, still read other books and, learn other stuff outside of just watching a Netflix TV show about it. But it's a very good Netflix TV show with phenomenal actors and actresses, and just it's so freaking good. So I 10 out of 10 recommend, because they've done such a good job at casting as well, where it's uncanny, the resemblance of some of these people. They study the way that, for example, the Queen Elizabeth, it was now played by I think 3 actresses, and they all study the way that she speaks, the way that she talks, the way that she elaborates her words or pronunciates her word. It's really crazy, and all of the actors do this for every role that they've played. But I think it does a really good job for you to better understand even Queen Elizabeth and what really it is like to be part of that family, and how crazy it is. It is unlike anything that any single one of us are going to ever be able to like experience. It is a world that is so hard to understand and to grasp. I don't even think some of the times they understand or they grasp what's going on. They're even confused about what they should do or they can't do. So it is just very, 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 very good show. But I will say, I do want to go back to London too, because you can tour the Royal Palace. And I didn't know this the first time I went. And when I found out the second time, all tickets were gone, obviously, because my life, you have to pre-book this way in advance. But I really want to do that, and seeing the changing of the guards and seeing like the palace, and it's just insane. It's insane. I think I was there when Jubilee was happening, which is like this whole festival thing that goes on. But the British people love being British, and I love this for them. And another part of London you have to go to is Chinatown. God, the food in Chinatown. There's my favorite, my sister and I's favorite, like ice cream shop is there. I'll try and find the name on my Google Maps list, because I create a list for every place I go. Obviously, hello, my type A personality cannot thrive without that. So I will give you guys that list. But it is amazing. It is just, Chinatown is so freaking cute. It's just so beautiful. They have so many good shows there too. So if you want to plan, you can do like a Broadway show, or you can see maybe an artist, because there's obviously a lot of artists, especially small indie artists that pass by London, because it's just so big, and a lot of people have like their pockets of Peeps are there. So yeah, thank you to J.K. Barry, J.K. Barry. I'm going to leave her handle below, who I just loved your podcast. I loved your energy. I love the way that you spoke, and you really inspired me to just be myself and say, F it. I'm just going to do what I know how to do. And that's talk and yap away for hours about anything and everything. And I saw another video, which I'm also going to link below. And she goes, why I don't make trending videos, or why I make videos that people don't want to watch. And she was saying in that video how she makes videos for herself, and her community is going to find her through her creating content that she wants to create. But one of the things that she mentioned in that video is that she's a yapper, and she realized that she can yap for days about things that she finds really interesting. But the things that she finds really interesting are very niche and random and weird to some. But she realized that there's people that really like to hear her yap about those weird and random things. And that's why she continues to create videos, but it's not a video that everybody would want to watch. So those two things together just really made me feel more comfortable about just putting this out there and being more authentic and being more myself. So I'm so excited with how this episode actually turned out, because it feels very authentic to me. And I am just so excited to continue to provide good content for you guys to watch, and hopefully things that you like and that you enjoy to continue to subscribe, wherever that may be. But I am so excited for the little community that we're making. So if you want to yap about my love for London, and if you're a fellow London or British Peeps lover, let me know. And if you have other creators that are British, give me their handle, because I want to follow them. I want to continue to support more British peeps. Another one I love is my Irish people, especially after Normal People. If you see that show on, I think it's on Hulu. I don't know if it's still there, but that is such a good show. Another person I love, Mary Stevens. I believe that's her name. Mary, I love your content. You're freaking amazing. She is just Mary saved me during the pandemic. Her videos saved me, her authenticity, her approach to talking about mental illnesses and her depression and anxiety and how she's dealing with those things and mental and her health as well. Like, she mentions her health a lot and her working out and the changes that she's done to working. Like, she used to be a diehard, I believe it was Soul Cycle lover, and then she switched to other forms of workout and rediscovering those things. It's just, I again love my British peeps. So I'm going to leave all of the people in my YouTube video. So you can go on there, and I'm going to leave all of their handles for you guys to follow them. And maybe I'll do like an own little Instagram post for this episode on Instagram, and I'll leave their handles there as well, because I just want to keep spreading love. I want more people to know about my British peeps because they're freaking amazing. Okay. So thank you so much for tuning into these Vida Vibes episode, Vida Vibes, which I think is more of a little bit of a random one, which is not, it's very Lisbet, but I loved getting the space and moment to talk about the British culture, my British peeps, and just talk about the love that I have for them, because I really am in love with them. They're just phenomenal. They're just so great. And I'm going to go because I'm a little hungry. And I want to go chat with my sister because I haven't seen her today. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you on the next episode. Adios. Bye-bye.